So this used to be one single board about this size. But if you've ever tried resawing on a benchtop bandsaw, you kind of already know how that goes. So the usual advice is to save up your money, buy a bigger, more powerful bandsaw. But in reality, I don't think you need a bigger machine. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to use your cheap job site table saw as the foundation for resawing. That way you can start turning thick boards into clean, usable, thinner boards and level up your woodworking skills. If you look up advice online about resawing boards, you'll see one tool show up time and time again, a bandsaw. But in a lot of these videos, there are massive floor standing bandsaws with huge capacity, massive resaw blades, and it feels like their cuts are just gliding through like butter. And to be fair, that setup works extremely well. If you can pull that off in your shop, all the more power to you. But many home shops are working with benchtop tools instead, and that's where problems can start. Slow feed rate, blade drift, and motors getting bogged down. And that's where a lot of people start thinking that what they need is a bigger bandsaw. But the question to ask ourselves is, if we can't have the ideal machine, what's the smarter way to approach it? It's easy to think that the answer is always a bigger machine, and sometimes it is. But more often than not, those of us in small shops need to think about how to use our existing tools more creatively. In a lot of small hobbyist shops, the most capable tool isn't the bandsaw, it's the table saw. Even a job site table saw has tons more power than a benchtop bandsaw. It has a rigid blade path, and the fence gives you a really nice, easy way to control the thickness of your board. So the reality is the table saw can often be the better choice for removing most material accurately. Instead of asking a small benchtop bandsaw to cut the full height of a board like this, I've found that it can make a lot more sense to use the table saw to remove the bulk of the material first, then finish the cut at the bandsaw or with a handsaw. Standing a board on edge like this at the table saw is going to feel really awkward the first few times you do it. But there's a few simple steps you can take to help make it easier and safer. The first, especially on a job site table saw with a really short fence, is to add a tall auxiliary fence. This is going to really help give the board proper support as it passes through the cut and keep it upright. The next is to put a feather board before the blade. This is also going to help push the board against the fence and keep everything secure. I'm comfortable cutting a board this size freehand, but if you're not, you can use two different push sticks. The first push stick will go on top and help push the board through the cut and down towards the table, and the second is going to help control the board and push it against the fence. Next, you'll want to remove most of the material without asking the saw to do too much at one time, especially on a job site table saw. The mistake a lot of people make is trying to take too much in a single pass. They crank the blade way up and try to just send it with the board. Instead of cranking the blade all the way up and hoping for the best, lower your blade down and take several shallow passes. You want to do one pass, flip the board over, keeping the same face against your fence, do another pass, raise the blade up a little bit, and repeat the process. Each pass removes just a little bit more material, but it keeps the cut easier to control and a lot easier on a smaller, underpowered table saw. And eventually, the kerfs from each side get very close to meeting in the middle. At this point, the board is almost completely separated. But there's a good reason that you want to stop just short of cutting completely through on the table saw. The first is that if the board completely separates while it's on the table saw, there's a decent chance that one of these halves is going to fall right onto the saw blade and kick back at you. And that's going to mean a bad day. But also, it just generally allows for more control and safety as you're making your cut. After the table saw has done most of the work, there's just that tiny strip of wood connecting the two halves. Now on some boards, I've been able to just squeeze back and forth and they'll separate on their own. But even a small benchtop bandsaw will cut through that little strip of wood quite easily. Or if you don't have a bandsaw, or like me, you just like handsaws, a handsaw will cut through it very easily. Once the boards are separated, they're both really close to being done. You'll just usually have a little bit of that ridge left from the strip down the middle of the board. A quick pass through your planer or hitting it with a hand plane will take care of that really quickly. You could even sand it down if you need to. After that, your boards are ready to go. Once you do this a few times, it stops feeling like a workaround and starts feeling like a really practical shop technique. You can break down bigger boards, you can get more out of expensive lumber, and you can add elements to your woodworking projects that you couldn't before. For me, this is one of the things that I really enjoy about working in a small shop. You don't always have to solve your problems by getting bigger, more powerful machines. Instead, you can get more creative with your workflow and get more out of the tools that you already have. Now that you've seen how even a job site table saw can help with tasks like resawing your boards, the next step is to make sure that your saw is cutting cleanly and accurately. Because the reality is, most job site table saws come out of the box just a little bit out of alignment, and a few simple tweaks can make a much bigger difference than most people realize. So check out this video over here where I walk you through the simple upgrades and calibrations that can help turn your job site table saw into a far more capable woodworking machine.